If you were close to 1 million in investments, thinking everything would be easier now, don't stab your own foot, because the things I'm going to tell you in this video may surprise you. You finally did it. After decades of grinding, saving 15% of every paycheck, maxing out your 401k, eating leftovers while your coworkers ordered takeout, you hit that magic number, $1 million. You log into your retirement account, see those 7 figures staring back at you, and something happens. You want to tell someone. Your brother-in-law who always bragged about his crypto wins, your college roommate who said you were too conservative with money, your neighbor who just bought that boat. You want to say, hey, I made it, I'm a millionaire. And that impulse, that completely natural human desire to share your success, is about to become the most expensive mistake of your retirement. Because I'm going to walk you through exactly what happens when you tell people about your money, why your own family becomes your biggest financial threat, how a simple dinner conversation can cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars over the next 20 years, and the psychological traps that millionaires fall into that broke people never have to worry about. We're talking about the invisible tax on success that no financial advisor warns you about, the specific dollar amounts you'll lose to people you love, and the one conversation you need to have in the first 90 days of retirement that protects everything you built. Now, I've seen this play out hundreds of times. Someone works their entire life, does everything right financially, crosses that millionaire threshold, and within 18 months, they're stressed, their relationships are damaged, and their retirement account is bleeding money in ways they never anticipated. And here's what makes this so brutal. You think you're different. You think your family isn't like that. You think your friends will be happy for you. You think you can handle the attention. Every single person who lost money thought the exact same thing. If you think you're immune to this because you're a private person, because you have good boundaries, because your family isn't like that, you're exactly who needs to hear this, because the threats don't come from obvious places. They don't come from strangers or scammers or that weird uncle everyone avoids. They come from your daughter who just got laid off, your son who's starting a business, your best friend whose medical bills are piling up, your sister whose husband made some bad investments. Good people, people you love, people who would never ask you for money until they know you have it. Here's what most financial content gets completely wrong. They'll tell you about asset allocation and withdrawal rates and tax loss harvesting. All that matters, sure, but nobody talks about the human factor. Nobody talks about what happens to your relationships when people know you're sitting on $1 million. And this isn't some soft psychology topic we can skip. This is about hard numbers, real losses, money that disappears from your retirement because you made one mistake in month 2. A Vanguard study from 2023 looked at retirees who experienced what they called wealth disclosure events in the first year of retirement. These were people who in some way let others know about their financial situation. Could be direct conversation, could be lifestyle changes that signaled money, could be something as innocent as mentioning retirement at age 58 when everyone knows that means you're financially set. The results were stunning. These retirees experienced an average of $21,000 in unexpected outflows in the first 3 years, compared to retirees who kept their finances private. $21,000. That's not market losses. That's not inflation. That's money that left their accounts because other people knew they had it. Now, I'm going to break down exactly what happens here because it's never one big ask. It's never someone showing up and demanding 50 grand. It's much more subtle than that, and that's what makes it so dangerous. It starts with small tests. Your adult son mentions he's having trouble with his car, not asking for money, just mentioning it. He's watching to see how you respond. Do you immediately offer to help? Do you say something like, well, I could cover that. Congratulations, you just failed the first test, because now he knows. He knows you have accessible money. He knows you're willing to help. And most importantly, he knows you feel guilty about having money while he's struggling. That's the psychological trap. Guilt. You worked hard for 30 years while your kids were growing up. You missed soccer games for overtime. You said no to family vacations because you were building your retirement, and now you have it, and they're still struggling with car payments. The guilt is crushing. So when your daughter mentions her credit card debt, you want to fix it. It's only $8,000. You have $1 million. What's 8,000? Here's what you miss. It's never just 8,000. Your daughter tells your son you helped her. Now your son has a problem that needs 9,000. You can't help one and not the other, right? That's not fair. So now you're down 17,000. But you didn't just spend 17,000. You created an expectation. You established yourself as the family bank. And banks don't close. Your brother hears through the family grapevine that you're helping the kids. He's your brother. He's been there your whole life. His business needs a small loan, $20,000. He'll pay you back. He's good for it. Except he won't pay you back because in his mind, you're rich now. You don't need it like he needs it. And when that loan doesn't get repaid, you can't even bring it up without destroying the relationship. So you eat the loss. You're down $37,000 in year one. Now it gets strange because you're not just losing money to direct requests, you're losing money to social pressure. Your retired friends start talking about their vacation to Italy. You want to go. You can afford it. But if you go, everyone knows you're doing well financially. So you go and you post pictures because that's what people do. Now your social circle sees you living well in retirement. The comments start. Must be nice. Some people have all the luck. Wish I could afford that. You feel defensive. You want to explain that you sacrificed for it, that you earned it. So maybe you mention that you saved aggressively. Maybe you let slip that you have a decent nest egg. You're not bragging. You're just defending yourself. But now 12 more people know you have money, and 3 of them are about to have financial emergencies. The pattern accelerates. Your nephew is going to college. Your niece is getting married. Your best friend's husband needs surgery and their insurance doesn't cover it. Your church is raising money for the new building. Your favorite charity needs help. Your old colleague is starting a business and needs investors. Every single one of these is a good cause. Every single one involves people you care about. Every single one knows you have the money. And every single one costs you. Study from the Journal of Financial Planning tracked retirement account drawdowns over 10 years. They found that retirees who reported frequent family financial discussions had withdrawal rates that exceeded their planned rates by an average of 1.2% annually. That sounds small, 1.2%? Let me show you what that actually means. You retire with $1 million. Your plan is to withdraw 4% annually, $40,000 a year. That's your budget. That's sustainable. But you're actually withdrawing 5.2% because of family financial pressure, $52,000 a year. An extra $12,000 annually going out. That's $12,000 that isn't growing, isn't compounding. Over 20 years, assuming a 7% return on invested money, that extra $12,000 per year costs you not just $240,000 in principal, but over $530,000 in lost growth and compounding. You just cut your retirement legacy in half because people knew you had money. But here's what nobody tells you. The money loss is almost secondary to what this does to your relationships, because once money enters your relationships, it poisons them. Every conversation has subtext now. When your daughter calls, you wonder if she needs money. When your brother invites you to lunch, you brace for the ask. When friends suggest getting together, you calculate what it might cost you. You become defensive, guarded, resentful. And the people asking feel terrible too. Your son didn't want to ask for help with his car. He felt humiliated. Your daughter hates that she needed help with her credit cards. She feels like a failure. Your brother is embarrassed about the loan, but they asked because you made it possible by letting them know you had the money. You put everyone in this impossible position. Now, you're probably thinking, but what about genuine emergencies? What if my kid really needs help? Here's the thing, there's a massive difference between being able to help and advertising that you're able to help. You can be generous without being public about your wealth. You can help family without establishing yourself as the solution to all their problems. The key is controlled generosity versus open-ended access. Let me give you the framework that actually works. You retire with your $1 million. You tell nobody. Not nobody like you lie about it, nobody like you don't bring it up. You don't announce your retirement on social media. You don't post pictures from expensive vacations. You live exactly like you lived when you were working, minus the work part. To the outside world, nothing has changed except you don't go to the office anymore. Your friend asks how you're doing financially. You say, "We're managing, being careful." That's not a lie. You are being careful. Your brother mentions he's stressed about money. You empathize. Yeah, it's tough out there. You don't offer solutions. You don't hint that you could help. You just acknowledge his struggle and move on. Your adult daughter complains about expenses. You nod. Everything has gotten expensive. You don't rush to fix her problems. This feels impossible, right? This feels cold, like you're being selfish or secretive or not helping people you love. That's the guilt talking. That's the exact psychological trap that costs retirees hundreds of thousands of dollars. Because here's what you're actually doing. You're protecting everyone. You're protecting yourself from depletion. You're protecting your family from dependence. You're protecting your relationships from the poison of financial imbalance. You're protecting your kids from never learning to solve their own problems. The research on this is clear. Adult children who receive regular financial support from parents have lower financial literacy, higher debt levels, and report less life satisfaction. You think you're helping, you're actually crippling them. You're teaching them that problems get solved by asking you instead of developing their own competence. You're creating dependence, and dependence breeds resentment on both sides. Now, there's a specific conversation you need to have in the first 90 days of retirement. This is crucial. You sit down with your spouse, or if you're single, you write this out for yourself. You create a family gifting policy. You decide in advance, before any requests come, what you're willing to do. Maybe it's $5,000 per child per year for genuine emergencies, with genuine defined clearly. Maybe it's zero, because you've decided your retirement security comes first. Maybe it's something else. The specific amount doesn't matter. What matters is that you decide this when you're calm and rational, not in the moment when your daughter is crying about her debt. You write it down, you make it a policy, not a feeling. And then when requests come, you can say, we have a policy we created when I retired. We contribute X amount per year to family emergencies. We've already allocated that this year. We can revisit in January. It's not personal. It's not a rejection. It's a policy. Policies are easier to enforce than feelings. But even better than having the policy is never having to use it because nobody knows to ask. That's the real win. That's why silence is so powerful. When people don't know you have money, they don't ask. They solve their own problems. They find their own resources. They grow. And your relationships stay clean. Let me tell you about Richard. Richard retired at 62 with $1.1 million. He was proud. He worked in manufacturing for 38 years, union job, maxed out his pension, saved aggressively. He told his kids, he told his siblings, he told his bowling league. Within 6 months, his son needed help with a down payment, $25,000. His daughter needed help with her small business, $15,000. His sister's husband lost his job, $10,000 loan. His bowling buddy needed a loan for medical bills, $8,000. By month 18, Richard had given or loaned $73,000. Only the $8,000 came back. $65,000 gone. But worse than the money was the change in his relationships. His son started asking about inheritance. His daughter stopped calling unless she needed something. His sister avoided him at family gatherings because she was embarrassed about the loan. Richard told me, I destroyed my family by trying to help them. I should have kept my mouth shut. Compare that to Linda. Linda retired at 60 with $900,000, told nobody. She lived in the same house, drove the same car, wore the same clothes. When her daughter had financial trouble, Linda helped with $2,000 but framed it as, this is all I can spare for my tight retirement budget. Her daughter was grateful, solved the rest herself, and grew from the experience. When Linda's brother complained about money, Linda commiserated but offered no solutions. He figured it out. Linda's retirement account is now at $1.3 million after 10 years. Richard's is at $800,000. Linda's family relationships are strong. Richard barely talks to his kids. The difference wasn't the money they started with. The difference was who knew about it. That's the entire game. Here's what you're really protecting by staying silent. You're protecting your future self. Because the market will drop. Not if, when. At some point in your retirement, you'll see your $1 million drop to $700,000. That's a 30% correction. That's happened multiple times in modern market history. It'll happen again. When it does, you need that money to stay invested so it can recover. You cannot afford to have already spent $50,000 on family requests. You cannot afford to have established expectations that you'll keep helping regardless of your situation. Your future broke self is depending on your current disciplined self to protect the assets. You're also protecting yourself from the comparison trap. When people know you're wealthy, you become the measuring stick. Your life gets compared to theirs. Every purchase you make gets scrutinized. Must be nice to afford that. Some of us are still working. Easy to relax when you've got money. The resentment builds, and you start to feel guilty for your own success. You earned it. You sacrificed for it, but their knowledge of it makes you feel bad about it. That's insane. Don't put yourself in that position. Here's the action plan. If you're already retired and you've already told people, you need to walk it back. You need to have some version of, we realized we were overconfident about our retirement situation. The market's been volatile. We're tightening up. Is that the full truth? No, but it's protective. It resets expectations. It gives you permission to say no to future requests without destroying relationships. If you're approaching retirement, make a plan now. Decide who needs to know about your finances. That's probably your spouse and your financial advisor. That's it. Not your kids, not your siblings, not your friends. They can know you're retiring. They don't need to know the numbers. Practice phrases like, "We're comfortable but being careful," or "We're managing, taking it year by year." Vague but not alarming, neutral but not inviting. Create that gifting policy I mentioned. Write it down, agree to it with your spouse, make it sacred. Decide in advance what emergencies you'll help with and what amounts. Then stick to it like it's a law, because it is. It's the law that protects your retirement. Control your lifestyle signals. You can have money and not flash it. You can take vacations and not post every detail on social media. You can drive a nice car and explain it was a great used deal. You can live well within your means and let people assume those means are modest. The goal isn't to live like you're broke. The goal is to live in a way that doesn't broadcast wealth. And finally, be okay with people thinking you're doing just okay financially. Be okay with your brother-in-law thinking his crypto wins put him ahead of you. Be okay with your neighbor assuming you're scraping by. Be okay with people underestimating your financial success, because every person who underestimates you is one less person who asks you for money. That's the win. Look, you didn't save $1 million by accident. You did it through discipline, sacrifice, and smart decisions over decades. The same discipline that got you here is the discipline you need now to protect it. And the biggest threat to your retirement isn't market volatility or inflation or healthcare costs. It's people knowing you're wealthy. So when you hit that $1 million mark, celebrate privately. Feel proud. You earned it. But tell no one. Protect it like your future depends on it, because it does. Your 70-year-old self will thank your 65-year-old self for keeping quiet. Your 80-year-old self will thank your 70-year-old self for maintaining boundaries. Your relationships will be cleaner, your retirement will be more secure, and your $1 million will actually last the 30 years you need it to last. That's not being selfish, that's being smart. That's the difference between people who retire with $1 million and run out of money and people who retire with $1 million and leave a legacy. The difference is silence. Guard it carefully.